appreciate your attendance here tonight. I've written a book in collaboration with Mr. Jonathan Coleman over here, who's with you. I want to ask him some questions. That was an extremely difficult book to write, but something that I think should have been written, because I do think there's some lessons in there for people who live the life like I've lived. And it's really not pleasant to talk about. The last couple of weeks haven't been a lot of fun for me, because I have hit a lot of things in my life over the years. And so anyway, ask me anything, I'll be more than happy to answer it, and I will answer it truthfully, okay? So.
Jerry, I always thought that you were such a perfectionist that was the reason you didn't coach longer than a couple of 3 years. Is that accurate, or is it close to accuracy?
Mickey, my personality would never allow me to be a coach, even though I think I had a wealth of knowledge to impart to particularly young kids who are really trying to feel their way into the league. But it's just not something I disliked myself so much that I didn't even know how to treat my own self, much less kids who were there to learn and obviously to try to live their dreams. And to some extent, I wish I'd been a different person, because I think I could have imparted some things that would have been good. And the ironic thing is that at that period of time, you know, I was a much different person than I am today. The thing that makes me feel best in this world today is try to help and to give, and also to try to, particularly to young kids that want to ask questions. But I am a different person I was then, and I was fighting a lot less demons today than I was then, that's for sure.
Mr. West, Beneduccio with West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Was it always your intention to write a book about these experiences? How much of the process was your own motivation to write a book about your life, and how much of it was others saying, you know, would you be interested in writing a book?
Well, you know, I think sometimes there's one line in this book, The White Album, Joan Didion said, people tell themselves stories to live, in which to live, and I've done that. I've done it all my life. And I think sometimes you get tired of people embellishing who you are, not really knowing who you are. I mean, I've had some incredible things said about me in my life as an athlete, and I've had some pretty wild things, and I'm sure this book is going to probably elicit both good and bad, and frankly, I don't give a damn. I know who I am, I know who I want to be, and I wish I could have been a better person, a different person, but I've learned a lot in my life, and I think I've learned a lot from growing up in a very difficult childhood household, loss of a dear brother, and I think the thing that I was left with was an incredibly rich, vivid imagination, which helped me pursue my dreams, and more importantly, to live my dreams. Most people don't have a chance to do that in their lives, and I did. And for everyone who's been so nice to me in my life, thank you. For my detractors, that's okay too, because you can't be perfect all the time, okay? You can't do everything to satisfy everyone. And I've always felt negative and positive publicity have been a great leveler in my life. And because when I was growing up, you know, the reality of my brain being what fueled me and what drove me, and the reality of going home were completely two different things. So I had to live in two different worlds, and so I've learned to live with almost everything, to be candid with you.
You alluded to the fact that the past couple of weeks haven't been fun, and you've been known as a private person for decades. Why do this then? Why put yourself through something when you could have very easily just let things go?
Well, I think, you know, as I say, I think earlier, you know, athletes, a lot of athletes have lived a similar life. I saw something last night. I was watching a football game. It turned into look like a basketball game between a junior high team and no disrespect to New Orleans. I mean to Indianapolis, but There was a story on there last night about a kid who played for New Orleans, and I don't know if you heard this story. He was left at a delinquency facility by his mother. He went in there, had a terrible way of life, and he grew up and he made something very special out of himself. And I think if you encourage one person that has great aspirations, who's grown up not in the best circumstances, not where there's any love and affection, I think that's why I did it. I certainly wouldn't do something like that for money. I've been fortunate enough to never write something that wouldn't be true anyway. But there's a lot of things I've hidden in my life that I know a lot of us have experienced and frankly don't want to talk about it. And I hope it'll be liberating, particularly for some young people and some athletes. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people thanking me for being brave enough to talk about what they faced in their life. And it didn't take anything brave for me to do it. All I had to do, because I had a platform. Some people never have a platform. And I'm just hopeful that people, when they read this book, will understand that I'm a flawed person, period.
Jerry, you, Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post, you write in the book, and you've talked about how there were members of your family who didn't want you to write this book or talk about these things. Just kind of wondering, what has the feedback been like, from family members since the book has come?
Well, I think one of the most interesting ones was my sister, one of my sisters. I won't mention her name, but she wrote me a note and said, I didn't even know my brother. It's pretty sad when you're in a house and no one knows who you are. Growing up where you're afraid to go home was not a fun thing, and that's why I say my imagination was what really fueled me, and frankly gave me a lot of courage to not write this book, but it gave me a lot of courage to want to compete and excel at the very highest of levels. And it began here at the university. It obviously began at East Bank High School, but here's a place that I came and I learned about love from two women, the Nardi sisters. When I came here, I didn't say a word. I talked way too much today, by the way, but I didn't say a word. And I was quiet, shy, backwards, socially inept. And these two women loved me. And I've always said that I wish I would have seen that at an earlier age in my life, because I could have probably been different. I've always been cautious about people, even though I love people. In the press, I would never deny good, bad, or indifferent for someone to talk to me. I just wouldn't do it. I've always treated them with respect. And at times, as I mentioned, there's certain things written about you that can be pretty raw. And the easiest thing to do is want to lash out. That's not something I would do. If someone would write something that absolutely was not true, I would call them. I wasn't going to get in a shouting contest with them. I wasn't going to get in a contest which was demeaning to them, because they're writing their opinions. But, I've read a few comments from people who have made comments about this book which have not been favorable to me. And the thing I know that they're still speculating what I'm thinking. There's not one damn person in the world knows what I'm thinking except me. Not one. And every time I read something like that, I'm always tempted to call and say, why would you continue to write things? You don't even know me. You didn't even know me when I was an athlete. Why would you want to do that? But as I say, sometimes people look at certain people and they think their life is all rosy. I've been the most blessed person in the world. I have. But yet, I really haven't enjoyed a lot of the ride, that's for sure.
Terry Buck Herzl, you say you wish you'd been a different person. Who do you look up to? Who is your idea of, who would you be if you could trade places?
I think one of the greatest people I know is Willie Akers, my roommate, my lifelong friend. He's happy, he's jovial, loves the university like I do. He can find something good in everything. I think the worst thing is not to find anything good in yourself. And there's a lot of times in my life I haven't liked myself very much. But again, you know, I would love to be different. But the ironic thing is I just love people. I mean, I really do. If I can help someone, my gosh, I'm sure going to do that. Because when I was growing up, all I wanted. You ever see a stray dog walking down the street? Pretty interesting. If somebody goes over to it, it'll either, depending on how it's been treated, it'll either react with a bark or it'll start wagging its fanny. And all it wants to be is recognized and patted. And I mentioned this book, Strays, okay? At times in my life, I felt like a stray dog. I did. And it's not the most comfortable way to feel in your life, but it was a huge part of my life. And today, you know, so many people have been so kind to me, more than kind. And those are the people that hopefully will know that if they read this book, they've been very special. And there's been a lot of special people in my life. Mickey, who I've known for years, and I'm not trying to single him out. I've always